Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're demystifying commercial trucking insurance and exposing some massive financial gaps that could literally destroy the business you've worked so hard to build. Look, if you're an owner-operator or running a small fleet, you already know how incredibly complex the industry is. But today, we're clearing up the confusion. We're going to break down exactly what protections you need so you aren't caught paying out of pocket when the unexpected hits. Let me ask you something. Does your primary liability insurance cover you all the time? A lot of truckers confidently believe that it covers them everywhere no matter what they're doing, but we've got to bust that dangerous misconception right out of the gate. The truth is, primary liability usually only kicks in when you are actively under dispatch, hauling a load and working for the motor carrier. If you step outside those strict lines, you might actually be rolling with zero protection. So to secure your livelihood, here's our roadmap. We'll be looking at the dangerous insurance gap, protecting your loaded cargo, bobtail coverage for driving empty, and non-trucking liability for personal driving. Then we'll break down the actual costs and how to avoid the most costly mistakes. Starting us off, Section 1, the dangerous insurance gap. Let's dive into exactly what a coverage gap looks like. Imagine this. You just finished a delivery, you go off dispatch, and you head over to a restaurant for dinner. But on the way, you cause a fatal accident. When the insurance company investigates, they find out you were off dispatch just using the truck for personal reasons. They deny your primary liability claim entirely. Without the right backup coverage, you're staring down the barrel of career-ending personal lawsuits, a lost CDL, wage garnishments, and honestly, total bankruptcy. Your entire business could just collapse from one uncovered trip. Moving right along to Section 2, protecting your loaded cargo. The foundation of this coverage hinges on three critical words: care, custody, and control. This defines the exact window during transit when you are legally responsible for the freight you're hauling. Motor truck cargo insurance protects the freight while it's in your possession. So if those goods get damaged, lost, or stolen during this time, this specific insurance saves you from fronting those massive replacement costs yourself. Let's look at how this plays out in the real world. Say you're hauling furniture and you get into a collision. Well, cargo insurance covers the repairs or replacement of that furniture. Or maybe you've got a load of expensive electronics. You pull over for some rest and your trailer gets broken into. Cargo insurance covers the stolen items. It even covers you in weather disasters, like if a sudden crazy hailstorm knocks out your reefer unit and a whole load of food spoils. It's an absolutely critical financial shield. But we absolutely have to understand the strict limitations here. Cargo insurance covers the cargo. It does not cover damage to your actual truck. If you wreck, you still need separate physical damage insurance for the tractor. Also, it won't cover cargo that was already damaged before you picked it up. It ignores general wear and tear like minor scratches. And, crucially, it won't pay out a dime if you improperly loaded or secured the goods yourself. All right, Section 3, Bobtail, driving without trailers. As you probably know, driving your tractor without a trailer attached is called bobtailing, simply because the rig looks a lot shorter, kind of like it's got a bob tail. But operating like this requires very specific coverage. Let's see how this fits into your safety net. Bobtail insurance protects you if you cause property damage or bodily injury to a third party while you're driving empty, but still engaged in a business-related task. Now keep in mind, this doesn't cover your own truck, theft, or your personal injuries, but it fully handles the liability you pose to others on the road while you're empty. Let's walk through a scenario. You just dropped a load at a Dallas warehouse. Next, you drive your empty tractor over to a nearby truck stop. But on the way, you accidentally hit another vehicle. Because you were empty but still on a business-related journey, Bobtail Insurance steps right up to cover the resulting $40,000 in vehicle damage and, say, $120,000 in medical bills. Without it, your primary liability might just leave you hanging because you weren't actively hauling a trailer. Next up, Section 4, NTL, Off-Duty Personal Driving. Sometimes referred to as deadheading insurance, non-trucking liability, or NTL, covers your truck when you're completely off-duty, off-dispatch, and just using the rig for personal reasons. Whether you're driving home, running to the store, visiting family, or just grabbing a truck wash off the block, NTL provides the exact liability protection you need when you're not working. Here's the classic example that catches so many drivers totally off guard. You finish a delivery and you go off dispatch. Your dispatcher doesn't have an active load for you, so you decide to drive the truck over to Walmart to grab some groceries. On the way, boom, you rear into a car, causing $25,000 in damage and $80,000 in medical bills. Your primary liability is going to explicitly deny this claim because you weren't under dispatch. NTL is the exact policy designed to step in and save you in this exact moment. Let's clear up the biggest point of confusion in the whole industry. It really all comes down to focus. Bobtail focuses entirely on whether a trailer is attached. NTO focuses strictly on whether you are actually working. So if you're driving empty to go pick up your next load, that's Bobtail. But if you're driving the truck home for dinner completely off dispatch, that's NTL. Simple as that.
Moving to Section 5, coverage costs and limits.
Cargo insurance premiums scale massively based on the actual risk of what you're hauling. If you're moving standard, non-perishable general freight, your annual premium is probably going to sit somewhere between $500 and $1,500. But step up to refrigerated goods, where a temperature swing could ruin the whole shipment, that jumps to a max around $3,000. And if you're hauling high-risk hazmat, expect to pay $3,000 or more just because of the massive liability of potential spills and cleanups. Now, for the empty and off-duty coverages, the costs are much more manageable, but equally important. Bobtail averages just $30 to $60 a month. NTL is just a little bit higher, usually sitting between $40 and $100 a month. The reason NTL is slightly pricier is simply due to the unpredictable nature of personal driving. You might be running weird errands or driving through areas that aren't your typical standard freight routes.
Finally, Section 6, avoiding costly insurance mistakes.
To properly secure your business, you've really got to follow these 3 steps. Step 1, rigorously assess your specific freight type. If you haul reefer, you absolutely need spoilage coverage. Step 2, always get multiple quotes from specialized trucking insurance agents so you can compare. And step 3, read your lease agreements. A lot of motor carriers legally require owner-operators to carry specific limits of Bobtail or NTL before they'll even let you lease onto their authority. You've also got to be really careful to avoid these common pitfalls. Please do not underinsure your cargo value just to save a few bucks on your premium. It's not worth it. Don't just let your policy auto-renew without an annual review of how your operations have changed. Never ignore the fine print exclusions like unauthorized drivers or crazy weather events. And probably the most frequent mistake we see, buying Bobtail insurance when your lifestyle actually demands NCTL because you're constantly using your truck for personal errands. Look, the absolute most crucial takeaway I want you to remember from this explainer is this. Primary liability does not equal full protection. Whether you're driving empty, running a personal errand, or carrying a high-value load, the standard coverage provided by your motor carrier is almost never enough to protect you from every single angle of the job. So I want to leave you with this thought today. Ask yourself right now, if you get into an accident on the way to grab dinner tonight, are you completely covered, or is a single, seemingly harmless personal errand about to collapse your entire trucking business? Take the time to review your policies, plug those dangerous gaps with the right cargo, Bobtail, or NCL coverage, and protect the business you've worked so hard to build.